Today we come to one of the biggest laws in football, and in many ways one of the most important. Law 5, the referee. Because this is the law that gives football its judge, its manager, its controller, its calm voice in the middle of the noise. Law 1 gave us the field. Law 2 gave us the ball. Law 3 gave us the players. Law 4 gave us the equipment. But Law 5 gives us the person responsible for holding the whole match together. Football is not just skill, speed, and passion. It is also emotion, conflict, pressure, confusion, momentum swings, appeals, frustration, gamesmanship, and split-second decisions. Law 5 starts in a very clear way. Each match is controlled by a referee who has full authority to enforce the laws of the game in connection with the match. That sentence is simple, but it carries enormous weight. Full authority, not partial authority, not authority only when players agree, not authority only when the crowd stays quiet, not authority only when the benches behave. Full authority. And I think that is one of the most important things for any referee to understand early on. The referee is not there to ask permission to manage the game. The referee is there to manage it. Now, that does not mean being arrogant. It does not mean trying to dominate. And it does not mean making the match about yourself. It means responsibility. It means that when football gets messy, somebody has to decide what happens next. And Law 5 says that person is the referee. Then we come to one of the most famous ideas in all of refereeing. The decisions of the referee regarding facts connected with play, including whether or not a goal is scored and the result of the match, are final. The decisions of the referee and all other match officials must always be respected. That line sits right at the heart of football, because football has always lived with debate. People argue over fouls, handballs, penalties, timekeeping, offsides, advantage, dissent, and almost everything else you can imagine. But the game can only function if there is a point where the decision is made and play moves on. That is what Law 5 protects. It is football saying, you can disagree, you can be disappointed, you can even think the referee got it wrong, but the match still needs a final decision in the moment. And that is why refereeing is such an unusual job. You are expected to be calm in places where almost nobody else is calm. You are expected to make decisions while players are shouting, coaches are reacting, and spectators are absolutely certain they know better. Law 5 gives the referee the legal authority. Experience gives the referee the emotional control. One of my favorite parts of this law is that it quietly balances authority with judgment. The referee's decisions are to be made according to the laws of the game and the spirit of the game, and based on the referee's opinion and discretion within the framework of the laws. That phrase, now the spirit of the game, matters, because football cannot be run like a machine. Not every situation is identical. Not every contact is the same. Not every injury looks the same. Not every moment needs the same response. Law 5 does not just want referees who know the book. It wants referees who understand football. And that is a big difference. Knowing the words is one thing. Knowing what the game needs in a given moment is something deeper. Then we reach one of the most referee-like tools in the whole sport. Advantage. The law says the referee allows play to continue when an offense occurs, and the non-offending team will benefit from the advantage and then penalizes the offense if the expected advantage does not come within a few seconds. And this is where refereeing starts to feel like art as much as law. Because advantage is not just, I saw a foul but I waved my arms. It is a decision, a reading of space, a feeling for momentum, a judgment about whether the team that has been fouled is actually better off if the game continues. Picture it. A midfielder is clipped but stays on their feet. The ball rolls straight to a teammate breaking into space. The crowd rises. The attack is alive. That is not the time for an automatic whistle. That is the time for awareness. But now imagine the same foul happens. The ball runs loose, the team keeps it for half a second, then loses control, and the move dies instantly. Now the referee may need to bring it back. That is the beauty of advantage. It rewards football, but it still protects justice. Law 5 also makes clear that the referee is more than just a foul detector. The referee enforces the laws, controls the match with the other match officials, acts as timekeeper, keeps a record of the game, provides the match report, and supervises or indicates the restart of play. So when people think refereeing is just about blowing the whistle, they miss the bigger picture. A referee is also a clock, a record keeper, a disciplinarian, a communicator, a risk manager, and quite often, the only calm person in a very emotional space. Then we get into discipline, and this is where Law 5 becomes especially powerful. The referee takes disciplinary action against players guilty of cautionable and sending off offenses, has the authority to take disciplinary action from the pre-match inspection until after the match ends, and has the power to show yellow and red card. And in competitions where it is allowed even to temporarily dismiss a player. The referee also takes action against team officials who fail to behave responsibly. That last part is really important. Team officials matter too. Law 5 is not only about players, it is also about benches, technical areas, staff behavior, and the wider environment of the match. Because sometimes the temperature of a game does not rise because of a tackle. Sometimes it rises because of the touchline. A coach is constantly complaining. An assistant is appealing for every card. Someone is leaving the technical area again and again. Someone is trying to pressure the assistant referee. Someone is turning the match into theater. Referee does not have to tolerate that indefinitely. And honestly, that is essential, because poor behavior from the bench spreads. It infects players, it affects spectators, it changes the tone of the game. Good refereeing is not just controlling what happens inside the lines, it is controlling what threatens the match from outside them too. Now let's talk about injuries. Law 5 tells the referee to let play continue if a player is only slightly injured, but to stop play if a player is seriously injured and ensure the player is removed from the field. It also sets out the normal rule that if the referee has authorized the doctors or stretcher bearers to enter the field of play, the player must leave on a stretcher or on foot. A player who does not comply must be cautioned for unsporting behavior. Player who left the field of play for treatment may only re-enter after play has restarted. If the ball is in play, re-entry must be from the touchline, but if the ball is out of play, it may be from any boundary line. Exceptions to the requirement to leave the field of play are only when a goalkeeper is injured, a goalkeeper and an outfield player have collided and need attention. Players from the same team have collided and need attention. A severe injury has occurred. A player is injured as the result of a physical offense for which the opponent is cautioned or sent off if the treatment is completed quickly. A penalty kick has been awarded and the injured player will be the kicker. Bleeding players must leave and may only return when the referee is satisfied the bleeding has stopped and there is no blood on the equipment. This part of the law is such a good reminder that refereeing is not only about rules, it is also about care. You are not a doctor, you are not making a medical diagnosis, but you are responsible for protecting the match and the players. You have to recognize when play can carry on, you have to recognize when it cannot. You have to create space for treatment when needed, and sometimes you have to slow everything down because player welfare comes first, and that is good refereeing. Then Law 5 moves into outside interference, which is one of those sections that sounds unusual until something strange actually happens. The referee may stop, suspend, or abandon a match because of outside interference. The law specifically covers things like inadequate floodlights, objects thrown by spectators, a spectator whistle interfering with play, and extra balls, objects, or even animals entering the field. If an extra ball or object interferes with play, the referee stops and restarts with a dropped ball. If it does not interfere, play can continue and the object is removed at the earliest opportunity. Unauthorized persons are not allowed onto the field, and no two matches are ever exactly the same. One day your problem is dissent, another day it is a floodlight, another day it is a dog, another day it is somebody blowing a whistle from the crowd, another day an extra ball rolls onto the pitch right in the middle of an attack. Law 5 cannot prevent the madness, but it can tell you what to do when the madness arrives. Now we come to VAR, which modern football can no longer ignore. Law 5 says VAR may only be used where the competition organizer has met FIFA's approval requirements. The referee may be assisted by VAR only for a clear and obvious error or a serious missed incident in 4 areas: goal or no goal, penalty or no penalty, direct red card, and mistaken identity. The final decision always stays with the referee, whether based on information from the VAR or after an on-field review. And except for certain limited cases, the referee and on-field officials must always make a decision first. VAR does not replace the referee. It supports the referee. The referee is still not allowed to hide behind technology. Still not allowed to say, I have no idea, let the video sort it out. The referee must decide. That keeps the structure of the game intact. Technology may assist and it may correct, it may review, but the referee remains the referee. Law 5 also covers the referee's equipment. The compulsory equipment is simple: whistle, watch, red and yellow cards, and a notebook or another way of keeping the match record. Referees may also be permitted to use communication systems with other officials and fitness monitoring equipment, but on-field match officials are prohibited from wearing jewelry or other unauthorized electronic equipment. Before the match, check your whistle, check your watches, check your cards, check your coin, check your notebook, check your communication kit, check everything. Because when the game starts, you do not want to discover your pen does not work, your watch is dead, or your whistle has mysteriously vanished. And there is also a small but interesting change in law connected to referee signals, which came in season 2025-2026. Referees now use a countdown signal for the last 5 seconds of the 8-second restriction on goalkeepers holding the ball. If a goalkeeper does not release the ball from his or her hands within the 8 seconds, a corner kick will be awarded for the first offense, and in addition to a corner, goalkeeper will be be cautioned if the same happens for the second time in a match. So what is the deeper lesson of Law 5? The referee is not there just to punish. The referee is there to manage game of football, to apply the laws, to protect fairness, to keep the game safe, to decide, to communicate, to calm things down when needed, to let the game flow when possible, to step in when necessary, to hold the whole thing together. That is why Law 5 is such a huge law. Because it is not really just about one person in black with a whistle. It is about authority with judgment, control with restraint, confidence with calmness, and law applied through human discretion. In other words, it is about the craft of refereeing itself,